Hey guys, this week's podcast features Chris Lindstrom, the creator of Food About Town, a Rochester-based food blog. Chris came down, talked about the Rochester food scene, starting a food blog, and his future plans for the blog. Let's get to it.
Chris, thanks so much for coming down here. This is I'm excited to talk to a fellow food blogger. I've talked to food writers, like traditional print, but never a food blogger. So I'm pretty pumped.
It's kind of exciting for me too, because I kind of started all on my own, and this is a nice way to actually learn a bit about more where you came from too.
Yeah. And you get to you host a podcast, which we'll talk about later.
Sure.
And so this is kind of like you getting on the other side of the microphone. It's kind of
it's a little bit disconcerting. As a radio fan, seeing this setup, and it's kind of neat.
Yeah. Well, this is you probably maybe 2 years down the road as well.
I certainly hope so. I'll probably dedicate a wing of the new mansion to
of course,
to the radio podcast world. And we'll see what happens
when
after that.
When that advertiser money starts piling up.
Oh, huge advertiser money. I got Pepsi and Coke bidding wars over me right now.
Connection, and I really like what you're doing out there. I try to stay in touch with Rochester as much as possible because it's so close, and it's pretty cool. And your site's been doing a really great job of showing me the kind of things I would want to eat at.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and that's really what I'm going for. I'm not going to say I'm eating.
Yeah.
Reading Serious Eats or Eater and all those other places.
They're amazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it's a different level of content than we can provide because it's kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I drew some inspiration from what you were doing too, beyond my reviewing base before that.
Yeah. So, you're actually a Buffalo raised guy, right?
Yeah, I'd say Buffalo roughly.
Western New York.
Yes. Yeah, because I never went to the city. I grew up in Boston, New York.
Yeah.
Which is always confusing when you say you're from Boston. You always have to clarify I'm from a town that nobody knows in Western New York.
Yes.
So, yeah, Boston, New York.
Yeah. And now you're based out of Rochester.
Yeah, Rochester for the last 12 years, including college.
Oh wow, okay. So yeah, you've got some time in the 585.
I do. Yeah, it's weird. I'm getting to the point where it's close to being more Rochester than Buffalo.
Yeah,
and especially time in the real world, not high school, which doesn't really count.
Yeah. A lot of that is kind of throwaway. But
yeah, exactly.
When did your love of food start? Like, have you always been kind of an adventurous or interested eater, or is that a recent thing?
I think it's kind of recent. So hearing your story from your interview with your buddy in New York City, I think it was.
Yeah.
Kind of similar in a lot of ways. My family, my mom was always a good cook, so I loved good food, but it's very simple, very insulated from trends and ethnic cuisines.
She was not playing with liquid nitrogen.
Not a lot of liquid nitrogen.
Or spherification.
No, not a lot of Ultratech in our kitchen. But, still good stuff, and I always enjoyed it. But when I went to college, I see people, there was a tray of food at one of our events. I'm like, what is this noodle thing with peanuts on top? Well, it's pad time. Like, what's this wacky Chinese food? I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
And that was like the first time I was like, oh, there's all these cuisines I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And then for me, when I started getting really enthusiastic about food reviews was I was on a business trip out in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Okay.
Which is just a desolate wasteland.
I was going to say, this doesn't sound like a food mecca.
No, it's not. It's a terrible Midwestern town with lots of strip malls, and that's all there is. Tons of chain restaurants.
Yeah.
So many more than we have here.
Yeah.
And I was there for like 4 months.
Oh.
And I needed to find somewhere that wasn't going to make me insane. So I went somewhere and I'm like, oh, this is really good stuff. And you really have to find those unique places to keep you from going insane. And I had to write a review on it just because these people were helping me so much and they're treating me like a real person.
Yeah.
So I had to start writing about it.
What kind of food was that?
There was a wood-fired pizza place.
Nice.
Which was very good. 800 degrees.
Nice. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And it was, that place was great. And then there was a tiny tea shop. They just treated me like family, just sitting there. They were obsessed with tea, and it was great. I'm not sure anybody even in the town went there.
Yeah.
But they treated me like gold. I'm like, this is just it made my trip.
Yeah.
So I had to start writing.
So did you go to Yelp at the time? Or
Yelp was where I got started.
Okay.
So I started there on Yelp, and I carried it over when I came back.
Yeah.
And up till right now, I think I have 220 some odd reviews on Yelp.
Wow.
And it's a weird little community we have.
So I never got onto Yelp.
Sure.
Because we started Buffalo Eats like 5 years ago, roughly.
Right.
So,
before Yelp got really popular.
Yeah, especially in the area. I think Buffalo really didn't have a strong community manager or anything till like maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, and same for us. We didn't have one until actually about a year ago, maybe even less than that.
Yeah. And so I never got into it, but it definitely seems like it's a community. Like,
it really is.
People know other reviewers, and
absolutely,
and there's like events that people go to. Like,
yeah,
is that similar up there?
Yeah, I am one of those people, I guess. So, I mean, I'm one of the Yelp elite people.
Okay, yeah.
I get invited to all the events. Oh, sure, I got all sorts of stuff. I have swag, just hanging around my apartment, which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's weird. It is a community of people. You really get to know who's writing things, and I think that's where the value comes in.
Yeah.
Before I started the site, I would read every single review that would come out of Rochester every day.
Wow.
So that was how I would get more involved in knowing everything.
That makes sense.
And you get to know how people write. You get to know who's worth reading.
Yeah, you could just dismiss some people right away.
Absolutely. And I think that's where a lot of people get the misconception about the thing is everything's supposed to be good or bad.
Yeah.
It's not a black and white. There's people doing great things on there that are really smart, really dedicated to finding cool things.
Yeah.
And there's people who are troll baiting and doing stuff like that.
Yeah. Or have one horrible experience, like create a Yelp account just to write one review of one place and then that's it.
Absolutely. And there's tons of those people too.
Yeah.
But it's weeding through them and finding the people that care about what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then there is value in it, but you do have to do the work.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's that rule where if there's like over 50 reviews and it's like 4-star, like, okay, I will say that's probably good.
Yeah.
If there's like 5 reviews and it's 5-star, like, let's wait a bit.
Sure. And all I'm using it for is to try to raise my hit rate. So if I'm traveling around the country and I need to go somewhere off plan and I see it's got 4 stars in a big city, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a decent meal there.
Exactly.
And if you use it that way and use it smartly, you're going to get a lot more success in your food eating travels.
Yeah. I'd agree with that totally. So what made you want to leave the Yelp community and actually venture into the independent realm?
I think the 200 reviews, you write a lot and it's going into the well.
Yeah.
You're one of many voices on there.
Yeah.
I was writing more volume and taking the time and dedicating time to writing quality reviews.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not getting what it should be getting.
Yeah.
And you realize after a while that people do read them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of you want to be more than just that.
Yeah.
And you want to be more involved in the community. And this is a great way to actually be involved in the community, not just the food community.
Yeah.
But the actual community at large.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the places you've covered, I mean, even on the podcast, aren't necessarily like a food, like you like a restaurant. Like you did one with the food event. Blanking on the name right now.
It was a Food Link. It was our festival of food, which is at the Rochester Public Market.
Yeah,
it's a big charity thing.
Yeah,
and it was really entertaining to listen to. It's our big food bank.
Yeah.
Listen to it from their perspective.
Yeah, and then you also with the Blue Button Distillery, like So like you're not just focused on just one thing. It's the whole. I don't know what it's called, but the whole scene.
Absolutely, and it's a developing scene, which is the cool part.
Yeah.
Because we're getting everything at the ground level right now.
Yeah. So let's talk about it.
Sure.
We had Paul and Nate from Brick and Mortar, and Paul said that he thought the scene was improving, but that it was maybe a little bit behind Buffalo. Like, how do you feel about the state of Rochester's food scene?
I'd agree with that in general. Yeah. And I think Paul's a good example of the up and coming Rochester food scene.
Yeah.
He's a food truck putting out restaurant level food, high end restaurant level food at food truck prices all around town. It's pretty fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
And our food truck scene for the size of our city is pretty fantastic.
It's amazing. Like I love the offerings that you guys have. Like every time I hear about a new truck, it's like he was telling me like there's a sushi truck, and I was like it sounds crazy, but like I love that somebody has the balls to even try that.
Yeah, and it's not just sushi; it's Dominican sushi fusion. So let's get it right for their sake.
That sounds amazing.
But we have that. We have a meatball truck.
Yeah.
We just got a paleo truck a couple weeks ago.
I saw that. Yeah, that's
brand new.
That's crazy.
And we have similar to Buffalo, we have big food truck rodeos, but we get 25 to 30 different food trucks from Rochester, some from south of Rochester.
Yeah, no, I've seen like some Genesee trucks.
Right, we get our grilled cheese truck up from there.
Yeah.
And then, Lloyd Taco's been there a couple times. Always a big hit. But we get tons of people going to these. They're packed. We get 20-minute lines at places.
Yeah. Wow.
And there's thousands of people at them. It's really something.
It's kind of crazy too, because Buffalo's legislation has been great here, but it seems like that they've had way more hurdles in Rochester.
Yeah,
and it's somehow even creating like more creative options.
Absolutely, and there's not a ton of people downtown. I think downtown's really tough right now.
Yeah,
we have 6 total spots.
Yeah,
the price that they're required to pay is kind of exorbitant.
Yeah,
and
they're kind of left to police themselves too, like figure out who can go where.
Yeah, it's difficult to say the least. I've heard complaints from people. I'm not going to air them here, but it's a difficult situation with 6 spots.
Yeah,
and downtown's the place where everybody wants to be.
Yeah,
and then we're also working with all the suburbs. It's a completely different fight to get into Henrietta, our big mall area.
Yeah,
to get into the different suburbs. They're fighting tons of different fronts. It's very difficult.
But like you would assume, if they have all these like hurdles that they have to jump over, that when they're planning their business model, they would be going for something that's like a home run, or like something that's like an easy thing. But for the most part, they're doing specific niche foods that are like it just seems like they're actually going for it for the purpose of having really good food on the truck, not because they're trying to make money or cash it in. Like, there's no garbage plate truck.
No, there surprisingly isn't a garbage plate truck yet. I mean, give it time, somebody's going to do it. And actually, that's not completely true. We have one of our trucks does a compost plate, but he's also doing a lot of homemade vegetarian food too.
Yeah, yeah.
Shout out to Let Us Be Frank. It's a great place.
Nice. But like you would think like somebody would just be like, why don't I just open up a garbage plate truck and serve till like 2 a.m.
Yeah, and we're not there. All our trucks that serve late are doing really high quality food. Our poutine truck.
Yeah, man.
We got a place called Marty's Meats. I've had tongue tacos and what was the other one? I think it was beef cheek or something like that.
Wow.
And it was some of the best tacos I've ever had.
That's awesome.
Off a truck. And they're doing wacky stuff.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah. I love that there's that sense of creativeness. Do you see that going on with like the brick and mortars in the area? Like, how would you say the state of that kind of restaurant scene is going?
Well, obviously they're a food truck, and the rest of our scene is going forward. We have new places are opening up all the time, but it's definitely diverse. It's not all high end.
Yeah.
So we're getting all different new ethnic cuisines. We always had a lot.
Yeah, and I think like you guys had, even for like years, you guys had like Ethiopian and things like that we didn't even have.
We have currently 3.
Yeah.
One of them's kind of in between. It's sort of a natural food place.
Oh, okay.
But we have 2, and then one just closed. But we still have 2 Ethiopian places in the size of our city.
Yeah.
We have a huge Puerto Rican, Dominican restaurant scene.
Nice.
Nobody goes to them except for people in the city because they're all in iffy parts of the city.
Yeah, yeah.
But we have 10, maybe more.
Wow. Like we're living right now. We are in the Puerto Rican area of our city, and we have 1 Puerto Rican restaurant.
Yeah, it's a 10, and every one I've been to has been good.
Wow.
In their own way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really something if you go out and find those places.
Yeah. So that like kind of your goal is to spotlight these off the beaten path. And
absolutely. I mean, those are the places that really people should want to go.
Yeah.
It's real food. You go in, the people eating there are the people who want to be eating that kind of food. But other people should too. Mm-hmm. And there are options in nicer parts of town to get it. But those people should be busy. They're doing real authentic food, and it's delicious and super cheap.
Yeah.
I know. It's one of those frustrating things.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's something I've been doing more thinking about recently.
Yeah.
And you're trying to sell to people that want to go to these places. We can't sell to everybody.
Right?
Right. I think you have to preach to the convertible
Yes.
You don't want to just preach to the people who are already converted that want this stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
And you're not going to preach to people like my dad. My dad will not eat the food I like. He doesn't like it. He likes my mom's cooking, and that's it.
You know what? Same here with both of my parents refuse to eat at 95% of the places that I go to eat.
Absolutely. He can't eat at Carrabba's Italian Grill because it's not like it was at home. And that's fine. I know what he likes. Yeah. And that's perfect. I can't preach to him.
Yeah.
But I can preach to people that want to try new stuff.
Yeah. And I think that audience, I mean, at least here is growing. I think like with the rise of food networks and everyone thinks Anthony Bourdain is cool. And they're like, oh, maybe I should try that weird Middle Eastern food.
Yeah, because everybody watches Food Network now.
Yeah.
And with Chopped coming out, I mean, I love Chopped.
Yeah.
But other people are watching Chopped too, and they're like, oh, what's this? Maybe it's ridiculous and you don't want to eat durian, but maybe you do want to eat beef tongue.
Yeah.
And you find out, wow, it's a great protein.
Yeah. So how long have you been maybe focusing on the restaurant scene in Rochester, like as like kind of your hobby /
Well, if you count Yelp, probably 3 years.
Okay.
But the blog now has been since April.
Yeah, okay.
So not that far.
Yeah. I mean, in that 3 years, like, have you noticed more offerings that you're excited about have been coming? Or
I'd say so, and it's more recently than then.
Okay.
So I think it was kind of stagnating, and then the food truck scene came on.
Yeah.
And that's really only been the last year.
Wow.
All of our big food trucks were celebrating their year anniversary in the last few months.
Okay.
So Marty's Meats, Brick and Motor,
yeah,
guys like that, they're just getting their 1 year anniversary under their feet.
That's good.
And with our opening of places like the Revelry,
yeah,
and we're getting all sorts of stuff now.
I'm very jealous of the Revelry.
It's a beautiful place. And
I've been watching those like photos since somebody liked it on Facebook, and it's insane.
Absolutely. And it's one of the things that people are really embracing in our town is the reclaimed buildings.
Okay.
So we're not just getting brand new chain restaurants.
Yeah. We're
getting people utilizing Rochester buildings with the original bricks, with the original wood, with that old feel, that big city reclaimed loft feel.
Yeah.
In Rochester, which is really cool.
Yeah.
We had a huge 3-story restaurant open up around the corner from my place.
Really?
It's owned by the people that do Black and Blue and JoJo.
Okay, yeah.
So same company.
Yeah.
It's a huge place, 2-3 bars in the same building, all reclaimed. It's a stunningly beautiful place.
That's awesome.
But it's in a building that was abandoned for years.
That's cool. To see, people, gravitating to that type of thing and
absolutely.
And using
I think people are enjoying that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, and the Revelry is a good example of that.
Yeah. And it seems like that's been pretty successful. I mean,
absolutely.
It looks like they threw an insane amount of money into it.
It's a very expensive place from what I understand.
Yeah. But,
and it looks that way.
Yeah.
It's a classy place and you feel comfortable going there.
Yeah.
Everything about it's class.
Yeah. And the bar, I mean, I know John Carroll, who left Buffalo, and we're all very upset about it.
And Rochester's happy to have him.
I think he literally won Best Bartender in Buffalo the week he left to go to Rochester. we were all very upset.
Yeah, and they're doing a great job. They're a hit right now.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
So you wrote like food reviews throughout Yelp.
Sure.
Do you think those 200 reviews helped you find your voice and style before you started the blog?
Yeah, I'd agree to a point. It's some of them, like, oh geez, I look back, I'd just throw that away. And there's some that really push it forward as the places that I really loved.
Yeah.
And a couple places I really hated. So
those are the two best times to write about a restaurant.
Absolutely.
The middle ground is a nightmare, at least for us.
It's very tough. But in the way I tackle the middle ground is I try to be I have an engineer mind.
Yeah.
I'm an engineer by trade, and that's the way I think.
Okay.
So I just write very objectively and like, this was this was this. And I try not to be mean or effusive and just let it be what it is.
Yeah.
But the great places, for example, we have a Neapolitan style pizza place in Rochester called Fiamma. It's amazing pizza. And I wrote a super detailed review of it on Yelp. I mean, it pegged the limit. I was going into details about crust and, cornicione, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't know.
That's all right.
All the toppings, all that stuff. I mean, I'm a pizza nerd, so it was like it's like my mecca of food in Rochester.
Nice.
So I had to write more, and that's how I started developing how to write more detailed, how to write better.
Yeah.
And then when I went to a terrible place, which I'm not going to name right now just because it's mean, it's a Rochester staple. Okay. And Buffalo has tons of those too.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Those places that are super popular, but the food's just awful.
Yeah, you can't taste nostalgia.
No, it's the worst. When it's your grandmother's curtains and food that's just completely inedible. So it forced me to describe that without just being mean.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to be mean.
Oh, yeah.
And it's easy just to say, oh, this was abominable. You guys are terrible people. But if you actually describe it accurately while you're saying this was terrible, people believe what you're saying.
Yeah. So what is your mindset when you go into a new restaurant? Like if you and your fiance are going to a restaurant, trying it for the first time, like how do you approach it?
It really depends on the kind of place.
Okay.
So if it's a cuisine I'm very familiar with, I'll go with a baseline. So for pizza, it's a margarita pizza.
Yeah.
For Mexican, I go for carnitas or, something else. I try to have a baseline for a cuisine.
Yeah.
So I can say, oh, this was well executed. I know they cooked it properly because I've cooked it at home.
Yeah, yeah.
Or I've talked to somebody who told me how to cook it properly.
Yeah.
And I try to come in it from that angle first. And if it's something I don't know, I'm just like, all right, it was good or bad.
Yeah, yeah. That's all you can do, I mean, at that point.
Yeah, I can't claim to be a cuisine expert. I don't know everything there is to know about Ethiopian cuisine.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
And it's not I can't be that. I'm not Andrew Zimmern, and I'm not Anthony Bourdain.
There's
I haven't been to the countries.
There's a very small amount of people who can be that.
Exactly. And I'm not trying to be that. It's unfair to me.
Yeah. But
it'd be silly to claim to be that.
Exactly. I think if you're open with it and you're pretty much transparent with your audience and they see where you're coming from, I think they'll just trust your opinion or take from it what they want.
Yeah, I'd agree with that in general. And it's, you find that people do accept it. Mm-hmm. And, from the same perspective you're coming from, you came from, chain restaurants and, the suburban boring stuff.
Chicken fingers all day.
Well, exactly. And you came from that perspective and you've told people that.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's straightforward. They know where you're coming from. They know you've done your work.
Yeah, yeah.
You've been to everywhere. And you really care about it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think people can see that in general.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know about you over the last 3 years, but just my knowledge base personally has obviously exponentially grown. So now when I go somewhere, I have, I don't know, it's a different person visiting these restaurants now than it was 5 years ago. I have to imagine it's the same with you.
I completely agree. And forcing myself, when I travel, I go to food places. Yeah. That's how I explore cities.
Yeah, yeah.
If I go to San Francisco, I end up going to every neighborhood because I want to try a banh mi and the tenderloin. Sure, I go there during the day when I'm not going to get robbed, but I'm going to go to everywhere to try cool food.
Yeah.
And doing that in Rochester forces you to go to everywhere, and you really get that base of knowledge. Like I can say a lot more about Dominican, Puerto Rican food than I used to be able to. And I can say more about a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And I do eat more fine dining, so I can say, oh, this was well executed, even though some flavors were off.
Yeah.
And, oh, this was tasty, but it was a little bit dry. You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, yeah.
You get that little bit of a base.
I think that was one of our things that we had to kind of learn, is that if we were going to say we didn't like something, we kind of had to actually start proving why we didn't like something. Because a lot of restaurant owners will be very mad very quickly if you just say that you don't like something.
I completely agree. A good example, I did an interview with a guy who runs an authentic Mexican restaurant out in Penfield.
Yeah, I listened to him.
And I was talking to him beforehand. He knew my Yelp review. I had written 2 or 3, and he knew them, word for word. And you don't realize how many, the people really read this stuff.
Oh, God, yeah. That's their life.
I think that was an eye-opener, too. They all read it. Mm-hmm. And he said, I read your review, and you said my beans were undersalted. I was furious. I was stomping around, and then I tasted them, and they were undersalted. And then I'm like, okay, they actually do read, they do check.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's not cooking every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone else is cooking.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a disaster. It was still good food.
Yeah.
But if you're saying real stuff And you can say on this night it was undersalted.
Yeah.
The meat was dry.
Yeah.
Well, you got to say provable stuff.
Yeah.
You're not just going to say, oh, they were mean to me. That's not cool.
Or just like, it was okay, whatever.
Sure.
Like, you have to provide some feedback.
Absolutely.
I learned that when I did like a judging event. Like there was like a cook-off and I had to be one of the judges. And before we went on, the host was like, now if you don't like something, you have to explain to these people why you don't like it. Because like I can't be in front of an audience and be like, it was okay, I didn't think it was that great though. Like you had to and so like something clicked and I was like, oh, I should really be more forward about why I don't like things. I don't know. It was kind of an interesting experience.
Absolutely.
So you've been doing the podcast for a couple of months now.
Yeah, a little bit on and off.
Yeah. You're about 8-9 episodes through?
Yeah, 8 or 9 in now.
Nice. How has that been, meeting these people face to face? I don't know how often you'd meet the restaurant owners to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of have events here like in the industry night where kind of people go and whether you like it or not, you start to meet people that like I've disliked their food or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the podcast was one of those things where I started to meet people and then I got nervous about if I've written negative things or things.
Yeah.
How has that experience been with the people that you've met? I mean, obviously the Mexican guy was kind of
sure.
It was a good example.
Yeah, it was, and that was like I said, that was an eye opener for me. But in general, I've been doing podcasts with people I already knew a little bit, and I already knew I liked their food.
Okay,
so I wasn't going in from a questionable base. But in general, I'm seeing it as going to be difficult.
Yes.
Because I'm getting to the point where I'm doing a lot of new places because we're getting a lot of new opens right now.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to go back and review places I've been to 10 times, 20 times, and people I'm friendly with.
Yeah.
Or I know the food really well.
Yeah.
I haven't done that yet. Like that pizza place I mentioned, Fiamma.
Yeah.
I've been there so many times. I've done apprentice work there. I'm friends with the guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to write an objective review of the place.
Yeah.
But it's going to be hard for places that have been a ton of times to say bad things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm definitely worried about it, but I'm going to try to just do objective and see what happens.
Yeah. For one, your name is on the post, so
Absolutely.
you're not technically anonymous or anything like that.
And I never wanted to be.
Yeah.
You know, there's some people that do that. Mm-hmm. And for example, we have a Rochester pizza blog.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for 4 years, 4 or 5 years, or whatever.
Yeah.
He's anonymous.
Yeah.
I met the guy. He's a nice guy, but he doesn't want to be known.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Yeah,
Good for him. I want to be part of the community.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would never hide that. I want to be part of the community.
Yeah. I think, I know for us, we took like kind of a roller coaster. We went from pretty much knowing no one to in the last 2 years, becoming way more of a, I guess, this sounds like.
Oh, go ahead. Please brag.
Just be more of a face in the community. Sure. And I mean, if my contact list on my phone went from friends from high school to now like 95% like restaurant industry people.
Absolutely.
But it's awkward because we'll go to eat at a place and I'll genuinely like it, but I also know personally the chef, and like,
yeah, it
just gets awkward real quick, and I don't want to be a dick, but I also want to be honest. Like it's a fine line that I think it'll get harder.
I already see it coming, and I know it's going to get harder. And I take wisdom from the people I do know that say all we want is for people to be honest when they write.
Yeah,
people get really frustrated when people read Yelp reviews that are unfair. They're unfounded. They're not detailed. They're not describing.
Yes.
And when the paper's effusive about places maybe they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And, they're covering places people actually don't want to go sometimes. And it's not to say I like what the papers are doing most of the time.
Yeah.
But from a lot of the chefs that I know better, they want you to write objectively and honestly.
Yeah.
And if you can go and they can see the same thing you're seeing, I think most of them will accept creative criticism to a point.
To a point, yes.
It's always to a point.
Yeah.
You can't critique everything.
No.
But most people, I think, will accept it. I'm hoping.
You'll find out. Okay?
I'm doing a lot of qualifying here.
I will say for the most part, when I've been critical of a place, I haven't had too much pushback. Yeah. I have had one person call me at my work and threaten to sue me.
Oh, that's awesome.
If I didn't take down my review.
Very cool.
Yeah. And yeah, like really ripped me out.
Yeah.
Like literally must have tracked me down Google or whatever and found where
That's pretty impressive because I'm easy to get a hold of.
Yeah, yeah.
I got Twitter, I got Facebook, I got email. Mm-hmm. My phone number's on my card. Yeah. I mean, people can get a hold of me.
Yeah. I mean, my name is pretty Googleable.
Absolutely.
Don Burtless is not that common.
Yeah, and you're available.
Yeah.
You're able to get a hold of you.
But I will say in the 5 years that we've been doing this, that I've only had one instance of that.
Yeah, I've had pretty good.
I've had some instances of restaurant owners creating fake comments on my reviews. But that would be the extent of it. Yeah. How's the feedback been? Like, do you have a good reactions with your readers and other people?
It's growing slowly.
Yeah.
I'm at, I guess it's 5 months now.
Yeah.
Of doing it, pretty actively. 2 or 3 posts a week.
Yeah.
And
that's good. I mean,
it's good
when it's when it's not your income or Yeah. I mean, yeah. Last year we tried to do 4 a week, and like I almost killed myself. Like,
oh yeah, and I'm working a full-time job. I have other hobbies, and it's going to be difficult balancing everything. I think that's the thing I'm most worried about right now is
going forward.
Yeah, is balancing writing and my other hobbies and work.
Yeah.
And making sure I can maintain 2 to 3 posts a week.
Yeah.
On a consistent basis and keep it fresh.
Yeah.
Which you have to do.
Yeah. Is there like a blog community in Rochester? Or are you pretty much the solo guy out there?
It's pretty lean. It's me and the Rochester Pizza blog who do reviews.
Yeah.
That's not to say there's not people blogging about food.
Yeah.
There's some people doing, recipe blogging, which not for me.
Yeah.
But there's some doing a good job at a high level.
Yeah.
And a few of the businesses, like recently, I've been reading the one of the girls that won a Cupcake Wars event. She's been blogging a lot.
Nice.
And it's been more personal and business stuff, but when it comes to reviews, I'm the only game in town, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Because again, it's nice that we're creating this community now.
Yes.
There's been people in the past that tried and they all died.
Yeah. That's
in one way or another.
I think the big test is like that first 3 months. Anytime I see a new blog pop up, and I try to generally reach out and encourage them, be like, yes, keep doing this.
Absolutely.
I always tell them, like, you just got to get past 3 months. Yeah. Like, if it's boring after a month and you're like, oh, that was fun, like,
sure,
that's what happens.
Yeah. And when it comes to somebody doing regular posts, I'm pretty much the only game in town.
Nice.
And, it's a shame to look at some of the old ones and you say, oh, they were trying. They wanted to do something cool.
Yeah.
But, I tried to do stuff in the past. I tried to do sports writing in the past. I was doing Sabres recaps on one of the Buffalo sites years ago. I was trying to find that one thing that really caught my interest.
Yeah.
And I think this is finally the thing I want to be doing.
You're doing a good job, so I hope you keep it up.
I appreciate that.
How has the... I've noticed that your pictures are pretty fantastic. Like with a lot of your posts. How has that been easier or less awkward to bring a camera into a restaurant? And when we started 5 years ago, like when we would take our cell phone out to take a picture, people like looked at us like, what the hell are you doing? Now when we take a picture, if with my phone, like we're just every other table.
Sure.
But I noticed that you actually bring like an actual camera.
I do.
Yeah. And I you know what? I'm envious of that. I still have trouble with that.
I think it's easier because I'm newer at it and I'm not as well known. People aren't going to pick me out of a crowd yet. But I bring a camera in a bag now. I used to take phone pictures before I got it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this wasn't cutting it.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I'm going to do pictures, I really want to put out the best picture I can.
Yeah.
I didn't buy $1,000 camera or
No,
$2,000 full frame camera or anything,
but you don't need to.
No.
You can. I mean,
nowadays,
the pictures that you posted of the vegetarian place,
sure,
those look gorgeous. Like they're really really nice pictures.
It turned out nicely, and you can spend $300 on a decent camera. I bought a mirrorless camera and it 20 megapixels. It has Wi-Fi uploading to my phone. I mean, it's really affordable to take decent pictures nowadays.
Yeah. But have you gotten to the confidence where you can just pull it out and not feel too, or is it still some like Mission Impossible style? Like
no, I'm putting it on the table. I don't hide it really. And very few people have asked about it really. I mean, a couple do.
Yeah.
But
what's your standard line?
I usually don't say anything. My fiance will say, "Oh, he's a food blogger." She's very excited about it, and I'm like, "Oh, really? I didn't want to say anything."
I've been in that exact same situation. Not with my wife, with her in-laws. Yeah. We'll go to a restaurant, and I'll take a picture of food, and she will just like tell every waitress, like, "He's a food blogger. You should look for it when he posts it." I'm like, "That's not how this works."
Yeah, I'm trying to stay a little bit below board until it goes up.
Exactly.
But I'm also not hiding either. I'm linking on Twitter if they have a Twitter feed. I'm linking on Facebook if they have a Facebook. I want to engage them in the thing.
Yeah.
And if they like it, it means I get some more traffic. If they don't like it, they're probably not going to say anything yet.
No, I think they've seen enough articles of the restaurant owner who goes off on somebody on Twitter that ends horribly that I think most of them are like, just bite my tongue.
There's so much amusement for those too. I forget the name of the place out in Arizona, that whole fiasco.
The Amy's Bakery?
Yeah, Amy's Bakery. Oh, there was a riot.
Yeah.
And just to read those, I'm like, oh, yeah. I really hope I don't get any of those people. But in general, people have been really cool about it so far, and people have been really engaging with it.
Yeah. You mentioned that there's a lot of openings coming.
Yeah.
What is your policy with a brand new restaurant and like giving it the curve and stuff like that?
I try to say it's a new opening.
Yeah.
And I've actually been tagging my posts recently. If it's a new opening, I say new opening place. Just so that people know.
Yeah.
And I'll try to say, hey, this person has experience. I'll say I went on the first day.
Yeah.
I don't want to fake anything. I don't want to say this is what the place will always be.
Exactly.
The thing I'm worried about is
giving them the benefit of the doubt, like that it'll get better.
It's the benefit of the doubt, and also wanting to go back to see how it's changed. I went to the Revelry opening night.
Yeah.
First night I was there, and it was really good.
Yeah.
But you do hear every place. You hear mixed stuff on and off.
Yeah.
Because there's always bad nights, even for great places.
Of course.
And I do want to go back, but there's so many places I have to go to.
Yeah.
And my review on my site is still from opening night.
Yeah.
Like, how does that hold up?
I am with you. Like, we have reviews of places that we went to in 2010.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is so outdated. The pictures look like shit.
Absolutely.
And I am not even half the, or I was not even half the talented. I'm not a talented writer, but
yeah, I'm right there with you.
but I my writing skills have increased considerably. Like that's one of those weird juggling things. It sounds like such a whiny thing, but like, but it's like I want to go back to these places. I want to have current things that people can look and be like,
sure.
We went to a pizza place not too long ago, and we went the first night like 3 years ago.
Yeah,
and our opinion was completely different. It took us 3 years to write that our opinion was different.
Yeah,
it's
I mean, it's definitely tough.
Do you have a master wish list? Like, do you constantly are you slowly crossing them off?
I'm starting to. I still use Yelp as a reference because we have a pretty active community following all the new openings.
Yeah.
And I try to get to the new places because I think people are enthusiastic about new.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, new posts, like new restaurants, they blow up.
So much more traffic. And, I do want that. Plus, it's interesting.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to go back and do Rochester staples and do places I've been.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the interesting part. Do people still want to read about old Rochester?
Yeah.
And do people want to read about the in-between, the places that are 5 years old?
Yeah. It's weird because, like, I'll get really excited if I find, like, a hole in the wall that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
But the traffic on those generally are garbage.
Nothing. Yeah, I found it's Puerto Rican place, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They sort of fall together.
Yeah.
It's 2 minutes from where I work.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure nobody's ever gone there that reads any restaurant reviews.
Yeah.
Not a single person who's ever written one has been there.
Yeah.
But I did a post on them, and nobody read it. Nobody read it. Nobody probably ever will. But I want to keep on doing those.
Yeah,
because those are the places I do like.
Exactly.
You know?
Maybe you can do like the one for you, one for them, like type of things where and
you don't have to do a long one.
No,
I'm not going to do a full length newspaper length restaurant review of a tiny takeout Puerto Rican place.
Yeah.
So you can balance that. It's going to take me an hour instead of 3 or 4 or 5 to write a long one.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I think we can wrap this up.
Yeah, we can probably wrap it up, even though we could keep on going.
Yeah, we could keep on going. We could just talk food blog game the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you see for 2014 for the blog? By the way, the blog is foodabouttown.com.
Yeah, I don't think we actually mentioned that.
My brother will mention it in the intro.
Intro and outro, which I appreciate.
Yes. So foodabouttown.com.
Correct.
What would you like to see with the website next year? Do you want to try to do more things? Do you want to do more specific things that you really want to focus on? Like, what do you see happening?
I think I'm trying to find my sweet spot. I've tried out a lot of different things in the 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And I've found a good stable of different kinds of posts.
Okay.
I want to do more interviews. I want to be more regular about it.
Yeah.
It's been a little sporadic because I'm trying to find more people to talk to.
Yeah. It's hard.
It's difficult. I want to make sure I'm doing new and old places reviews. I want to do more market spotlights because nobody does those at all.
Yeah.
Like I go to markets and I talk to the farmers. I talk to the different stands. I want to do more of those.
Yeah. That's definitely growing. People want to know where their food's coming from.
Yeah, I agree. And it's something that it's very rarely written about.
Mm-hmm.
I want to highlight those people.
Yeah.
And I just want to maintain consistency. It's going to be difficult. I want to do 2 to 3 a week consistently through the entire year.
Yeah.
And I just want to build a regular readership.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking for anything, spectacular yet.
Yeah.
This can be my first year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just want to live for a year doing it and build slowly. I'm not trying to get tons of advertisers. I've seen plenty of websites that go up with tons of advertisers on them with no real content.
No.
I'm not trying to make money right now.
Yeah.
I want to build organically where people say, oh, I want to read his stuff.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll break even or make some money at some point.
I'm still looking.
Yeah, I'm not very hopeful about the making money, but if I can break even, I'd be pretty happy eventually.
Yeah. I always think this will never be my full-time job.
No.
I've come to terms with that.
Sure.
But I would love to just pay for the meals.
Yeah.
That's like literally the dream goals.
Absolutely.
The dream scenario. Yeah.
Yeah, if I can get my meals paid for and pay for my hosting and pay for everything else and then redesign the website eventually and do that stuff, I can live with that.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job, Chris.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me here.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for coming down here, taking the drive. And yeah, keep it up. I love the podcast. I was super excited when I saw it go up. I was like, yes, another food podcast. I'm a podcast junkie.
Me too. I'm obsessed with podcasts.
So as soon as I saw it go up, I subscribed right away. So I highly encourage everyone to subscribe themselves and keep in touch with what's going on in Rochester.
Yeah. Thanks for that, man. And next time you're in town, maybe we'll do a companion podcast and talk a little bit more about the podcast world because I'm obsessed with podcasts.
Awesome. Let's do it. But thank you so much again.
Appreciate it.